guys, welcome to Wrokdown. I'm Wendy Stapleton. Well, tonight we have the whole episode dedicated to the wonderful Jeff St. John. Yeah, fabulous. And joining me to help me navigate through this amazing career of Jeff St. John is the one and only Mr. Phil Manning.
Thank you.
And Miss Out and About, who spent about 2 weeks missing in action doing this 2 weeks, Soozie Pinder.
Oh, Miss Wendy. I had an
2 weeks?
Yeah.
Was it fabulous?
Laryssa and I, Laryssa Faulkner, our new Wrokdown camera woman, and I had the privilege of going to WA, and we met up with Jeffrey about 24 hours later. And I don't know.
Then went missing for 2 weeks.
We went missing. We had to cash in our travel insurance. We had photos to find where we'd been, put it that way.
Sounds very suspicious. But anyway, Phil, watching that clip, you were having a bit of a guess at where it was. It was either, you think, one of two places. Do you know where it was, Soozie?
I think it was actually Laryssa. It may have been, I doubt in a way that it was Ourimbah. But
you were there?
I was at both festivals. I think it was Laryssa, and I'm saying that because they had this big row of Leonard amps behind, and I immediately recognised Ross East on guitar.
What era do you think? Years-wise, late 60s, early 70s?
Well, I first saw Jeff in either late 66 or early 67. When he came to Melbourne as Jeff St. John and the Id, or it may have been the Id featuring Jeff St. John. I'm not quite sure.
You spent some time with Jeffrey, didn't you, playing with Jeffrey?
No, I didn't really play with Jeff, but we just spent time together in that we had a lot of associations. We played at festivals. And we had some very funny times together.
Well, let's have a look at some more good fun times.
Have a look at Jeffrey. Hey, it's Soozie here, out and about with Laryssa, and we are in the Western Australia. We are just so excited. Wrokdown TV has come to Jeffrey Leo Newton's house, who you may know as Ta-da!
Ta-da! Since 2005, Jeffrey St. John, formerly Jeffrey Leo Newton, now officially Jeffrey St. John.
Jeffrey, welcome to Wrokdown. Hey, welcome. Give us a hug. I want to come in here with you.
Thank you, Soozie. Thank you for making the trip.
Laryssa and I got here, and for the last couple of hours we've enjoyed this wonderful conversation. We want to cover a myriad of information that I have about you, and I don't know where to start, but we'll start with your career. Now, you first performed when you were about 8 years of age, was that it? Or you said you were singing from 18 months, didn't you?
Oh, yeah, no, Family Legend has 18 months. I don't know what my articulation was like at 18 months, but Family Legend has that I was singing along with the radio at 18 months. But at age of 8, Radio 2GB in Sydney had a competition called Master Rhythm, because in those days that was the appellation that was used. Master, Mister, there you go, kid, grown up, yeah, right, all that. And so I went on there and I can't remember what I sang. It was a Frankie Lane song, but anyway, I didn't come anywhere. But that was my first real public performance outside the family.
And then you were around 15 when you went on a talent show?
Yep.
I'm trying to look, I usually don't use notes, but this man has such a rich history and a biography that I can't even begin to remember. Normally I commit it to memory. So I think I've got notes here and I can't read them because I haven't got my full eyes on.
It's okay. It's been a fairly diverse life, not to put too much of a fine point on it.
Opportunity knocks.
Opportunity knocks. The lovely Desmond Tester, musical director Jeff Harvey, the wonderful Jeff Harvey.
Jeff Harvey.
Yeah, and I auditioned, and I got on the show, and I came second. Never won a talent quest in my life. Yeah, there you go. Does this tell you something? Yeah, so that was really, really the start of it. That was the taste. I don't know, at that period, an uncle of mine had advised me, because of my physical circumstance, that I would probably make an excellent industrial chemist. And I
don't doubt that. I don't doubt that.
I went with that for a little while. But no, it was a God-given calling. And he called, and I went there. And I went there with both hands.
Wrokdown. Welcome back to Wrokdown. Well, tonight our interview is with the wonderful Jeff St. John, and of course the interviewee. No, it's her. Soozie Pinder, and our special guest, providing anecdotes and narrative from that fabulous era.
Hopefully.
The one and only Phil Manning. So, Soozie.
When it was a dream come true, Laryssa and I landed, and we were kind of nervous and excited because Jeffrey hadn't been interviewed since 1982, I believe.
Is he still working?
He does. He's got some great work, a great CD that Mark Norman knows about. He's just re-released this. It's done a short run, and another CD. Oh, here we go. But we got to his house, and there was this amazing music playing, and Laryssa and I are thinking, "Wow, what's going on?" And it was Jeffrey, and he's done a bunch of standards with the Embers. You saw that?
I saw this album before. Sorry, I couldn't believe it because I actually have never really expected Jeff St. John to do all of these beautiful standards. There's songs like Some Enchanted Evening, Lullaby of Broadway. Fascinating rhythm. The audience.
And there's a short run.
The reason he does them is because he can.
Yeah.
And he can.
But I mean, just amazing, and I'm really, really looking forward to hearing that.
Well, it was amazing, and there's a short release of these, so you can see Jeffrey on his Facebook page, very limited release of these. But Laryssa and I had the privilege of joining Jeffrey and his beautiful Marilyn, his partner. And of course I thought, we'll do the interview and then we'll eat lunch. But no, he served us lots of wine, cigars and lunch. And by the time it came 2 hours later, and I don't drink a lot, but
no, it was
I did
5
that day.
weeks, Soozie. It was 5 weeks.
I thought, shit, I can't remember what I was going to ask him. And he's so smart. He'd given me so much information. I'm thinking, I don't know what I'm going to ask him. And I'm saying to Laryssa, I'm scared. And she said, you'll be all right.
Have a look at some more.
Yeah.
Jeff St. John.
Now, from 15, tell us a little bit about your journey to being Jeff. Why Jeff St. John? Where did the name come from?
Yeah, well, there's, again, in the book, and I refer to my book, folks, because right at the moment, it's really important to me. It's taken a long while in coming, but it's finally done. It's now in the hands of the publisher.
Like 80,000 words later?
No, not quite that much. That's a bit ambitious, but I was trying.
I'll put a bit of salt and pepper.
Only 75,000. Okay. Right.
What? You slacko.
Oh yeah. I left out a few stories, but they're coming in the second book. Okay. There you go. I'm doing a Billy Thorpe. But I was discovered by John Hellman, the bass player from the Id. This was after I'd done a bit of a Don Lane thing. And
the Id was a band that Jeffrey was in, one of the many.
Oh, right, okay.
Yes,
I forget. Yeah.
And you got the name from somewhere.
Well, this is the explanation. So I bumped into John Hellman. He'd seen me on the Don Lane show and said, "You're a really good singer. We need a singer for the band." And so I went and had a blow with the boys, who were then known as the Syndicate. Then we changed venues, but we were offered the job at Rhubarb's, Australia's first, really, honest to God, first discotheque. There is some conjecture about this, but trust me.
You know,
one of the things I am is a minor historian, and anyway, there were three guys running it: Rod Kirk, Tony Cullerton, and Jim Carter, who'd made his money out of the folk scene. And we had a round table, and at the time, we'd changed our name from the Syndicate to the Wild Oats.
Did you so many?
After. Yeah. But anyway, we sat down with the boys and they said, look, we want to change the band's name and we want the band to be known as the Id. And we've said, and they've gone, no, look, you've got to understand, with what you guys do, the id comes from Freud, and the id is what Freud declared to be the primary motivating force. And that's how we see you guys.
I didn't know that.
No, because the myth that's out there is that we took it from the Wizard of Id.
That's it?
Yeah. Well, no, it's a crock. Okay.
Yes.
And
Wikipedia, that was wrong.
And then they said to me, look, there's Wayne Newton out there and blah, blah, blah. We'd like you to change your name to Jeff St. John. And I said, I really like that. Yeah, that's got a bit of style, honey. Yeah, okay. And so we went with that. And the bass player came over to me and said, aren't you upset that they wanted to change your name? And of course, you're talking about a child that came from a cloistered, hospital-bound early life. And this was just fuel for the fantasy. All of a sudden, I had a stage name. I had a stage persona. I had a fantasy that I could live up to. And so it became, and so it was done, and so it remains to this day.
Now, you and I spoke a few times on the telephone over the last couple of months. We've had long conversations, and I'm so excited about them. You were telling me about your mum. Tell us about Mum. She has a scrapbook, but Mum raised you to believe you were Superman.
Yep.
Tell us about that.
The principle was simple. If you want it badly enough, if you believe in it badly enough, and if you're prepared to work hard enough, then nothing is impossible. And the only backlash about that kind of programming is the fact that luckily enough, I didn't fail for the first time until I was 35. And so that was an extraordinarily emotional period for me because I didn't know how to do it, to deal with it. So what's this? Because up to that point, I was surrounded by people who were saying, yep, you're doing it. There you go. But still, the concept is valid. The concept needs to be broadened somewhat in its application because people have to learn how to fail because not everybody succeeds at everything all the time. But having said that, if you want it badly enough and you believe that you want it that badly and you're prepared to put the work in, good odds you're going to get it.
Wrokdown. Welcome back to Wrokdown. My special guests on the couch this evening, the one and only Phil Manning.
Thank you.
And Soozie Pinder, I may say. Watching this interview, I'm a little bit jealous. I think it should have been me in Perth, lost for 5 weeks.
You should have come with us,
With
Wendy.
Jeff St. John. I just picked up in the last segment that he was saying that he hadn't failed at anything until he was 35. What do you think?
I think that it's in the book. I do know that there's an awesome book coming out, a biography which should be out around, I think, April. I've just spoken with Jeffrey on the phone, thanks to Mark Newman, who rang him.
Did he say to say hello to me?
He said, give Win a big pash.
I've never met him, but...
But I think that was a time of his life, from what Laryssa and I gathered over lunch, that it was the first time that he was feeling quite down, and his emotions were really taxed at that time. He'd been so very successful for so very long, and life changed dramatically, and you will read it in his book, an awesome autobiography.
Do you know when the book is coming out?
We think April. I was just pressing him for it
April
on the
2015,
phone.
obviously not.
Yeah, April 2015.
Yep.
And Laryssa and I are jumping on a plane for that. I wanted to show some of the photos. John Newhill, who was a go set photographer, and that's how people may remember Jeffrey. He was the most awesome performer.
I've got to tell you, when I was young, I used to go and watch Jeff St. John and Wendy Saddington.
Oh.
Well, you were allowed in. You see, a lot of the...
That's with Bo Diddley.
Exactly.
That is Bo
That one's
Diddley.
with
Just
Bo
had to
Diddley.
jam with Bo
We've got
Diddley.
those
Look
shots.
at that.
I used to... The fabulous thing, we've said this time and time again, the great thing about the music industry in the 60s and
Dennis
70s,
Wilson, actually.
there were dances and clubs that didn't have alcohol. So you didn't have to be 18 to get in. And it was wonderful because I used to go and see all of these fabulous artists. But speaking of all those fabulous days, I think we have a special guest in the audience.
We do. One gorgeous, very good friend of mine, Jeffrey Risk, who happened to spend a lot of time with Jeff St. John.
Jeff is... Oh, there you go. The lights
There
are
he
on.
is.
Now, come on,
Ta-da.
show us your pearlies. Show us your chest.
Come on.
Jeff, of course, is one of Australia's most... I was going to say famous. It should be infamous.
Infamous roadies.
Roadies in Australia, and a wonderful, wonderful guy. And we thank you for all of the great work you've done with loads and loads of bands around Australia.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jeff.
Without the roadies, there would be no shows. Thank you, darling. I love you.
Shall we get back to the interview?
We better have a look.
Let's have a
haven't
look.
we? Now, in your career, you've supported the likes of, I've got Gary Glitter, Chuck Berry, Bo Diddley. Tell us the progression.
Yardbirds,
The Yardbirds.
Roy Orbison,
What?
the Walker Brothers. Had a blow with Glenn Campbell in Adelaide.
What do you mean a blow? What happened?
Well, I, with my musical director, had come in to Adelaide a day early because my show required at least 2 days rehearsal by the band. That was it. That was my minimum. 2 days, yeah. At the end of the second day, if they're not dead, we'll get it right. It's okay. And anyway, we were in town sort of half a day early for some reason, some kind of mix-up. And so the promoter who took us in, I said, oh, look, there's a bash going on, a record bash going on at, I don't remember what venue, I don't need that detail. But Glenn Campbell's going to be there, and he's going to be thanking everybody for his gold records. Do you want to come? And I went, yeah, that'd be good. And so my MD, who's mentioned often in the book, the wonderful John A. Bird, who I met on tour with country radio.
Love country radio.
Yeah. We connected. It was an instant connection. Extraordinary. Our friendship lasts until today. But anyway, we've turned up, and all of these record boys have seen me come in the door, and they've all gone, oh, Tim, quick. And so before I knew it, I was not only manhandled all the way to the front of the stage, but I was lifted bodily by these bods straight up on top of the stage, and I'm sitting next to Glenn Campbell, and all these boys are going, And I've looked at Glenn and gone, "G'day, my name's Jeffrey." And Glenn's gone, "Yeah, g'day, man, how you doing? What do you want to do?" And I said, "You know honky-tonk women?" "Oh, come on, man, shit, we can fake it." And I've gone, "Okay, give me an A." And he's gone, "Twang." And I've sung him the chorus a cappella. He's going, "Yeah, cool, man, we got it, where do you want it?" And I've counted it in, and we've done the most bitchin' version of honky-tonk women that ever was done in my career, and it was just wonderful. He was a lovely, lovely man. I really liked him.
Now, we've glossed over, we've gone from 15 talent show. Now tell us about how you ended up, Jeff St. John, Teach Me How to Fly, big time operator. What happened from 15 till...
Dear me.
How'd you get
How
there?
long is this piece going to run?
As long as we can.
Oh, as long as we can. Okay, look, I'll give you the Reader's Digest version, okay? Because it has to be. I mean...
It's $6,500 I can
make. Trust me, 75,000 words it took me to write the book, and I've got another one in my pocket, so it's got to be brief.
I want to talk about the book once we lure them in, the smell of the barbecue, because this phenomenal news about this book, I'm that excited. I've been keeping my lips zipped, but...
Thank you, Soozie.
We're going to talk...
That's wonderful.
Because I can't wait to get my hands on it.
All right. Well, here you go. This is a skip read. Okay. 15 to 17, Desmond Tester. 18 to 19, following around a band that had a guitar player friend, and they used to get me up all the time to sing House of the Rising Sun. 19, connect with the Id. After, I think, 4 unsuccessful singles, we hit Big Time Operator, and all of a sudden we're the hottest thing in the country. But so then, hospitalisation, I'm contacted while I'm in hospital, and I come to Perth, and we put together Copper Wine. And we outgrew Perth very quickly. We became exponents of some absolutely wonderful, wonderful avant-garde arrangements of classic soul things, whatever. But there was too much brilliance in the band for it to last as a unit.
Is that how beautiful Wendy Saddington joined Copper Wine?
Wendy was invited to join us and accepted the invitation. We wanted to move forward again. That was good. It was wonderful. I mean, she is an angel in my firmament. To Mother from Sweetcakes. That's the song.
Can I just say, and it's really tender because we've recently lost Wendy not so long ago.
Just a little over a year.
And your beautiful eulogy, and I think at the end you said something like, my Wendy lives on, or it was something at the end.
Words to that effect. I haven't committed it to memory, but...
I wrote it down and I don't know where it is because my heart was tender with that, and I just want to say that your words were magical for your friend and did her proud.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean that from my heart.
She deserved to be done proud. She was
amazing.
She was a unique individual. Probably the most spiritual individual that I've ever met. And we adored each other. Yeah. It was no more complicated than that. I have this wonderful photograph of both of us in profile, her in sort of semi-profile, maybe quarter profile, but I'm just beaming at her. But the love on her face simply radiates out of the picture, and it's one of my personal treasures. Yeah. Absolutely one of my personal treasures. And we loved each other from the start, and we loved each other until we lost her.
Wrokdown.
Well, welcome back. What a fantastic interview. Congratulations, Soozie. Of course, there's more to come. Very touching, talking about Wendy Saddington, who we lost earlier this year. And she was a tour de force in the music industry, especially late 60s, early 70s. And of course, Wendy worked with Copper Wine with Jeff St John, and then went on to do quite a lot of work with Doug Parkinson in Focus.
Also remember that Wendy named Chain. We went up into the hills to rehearse for a week to learn new material to form a new band. And at one stage, we were sitting round having rehearsed all day, whatever. And, you know, it came up, what are we going to call a new band? And it was like, well, we could call it the Purple Pumpkins, or we could call it something like that. And Wendy just turned around and said, no, call it fucking Chain. And so...
Was that from Aretha
we called
Franklin?
it Chain.
From Aretha
we
Franklin's
called it
Chain
Chain,
of Fools?
from, yeah, Chain of Fools, yeah, right. Which is actually pretty apt, actually, when you think about it. But anyway, so then we went on to Sydney, and we became really, we were quite big underground band, you know, at that time. Wendy left Chain, and she sort of warbled around the sort of gay scene for a while and stuff like that. But then she got involved with Jeff St John and Copper Wine, and that they really succeeded.
Oh, so it happened that way,
Yeah.
round that way.
And you can see when
Yeah.
his deep love for Wendy and the eulogy that he wrote was, I cried. I cried quite a lot through the interview, as did Laryssa.
Shall we go back and have a look at
Let's
it?
have a look.
Let's have a look.
Now, I want to talk about around the 2000, was it, I don't know, when the Paralympics were, when the Olympic Games were here, and you were performed before, it was 110,000 people there.
Michael Chugg, the lovely Michael Chugg, Australia's Mr. Showbiz, gave me that gift. And he rang me and he said, you don't know who this is, do you? And, well, I don't know whether we can use expletives on this program, so I won't. We can?
Yeah.
Am I allowed to say fuck?
Fuck.
Oh dear, okay. Well, I said, fuck off, Chuggy, that's my job. Job recognition is my job. And he went, oh, well, okay. And said that he made me the offer of doing the national anthem to open the Paralympics and the first song of the Paralympics, which was the theme of the Paralympics, which was called The Greatest Challenge. And so, in front of 110,000 people live and an estimated TV audience of in excess of 3 billion people, I got the first 10 minutes. Thank you, Michael.
No, thank you, Jeffrey, because Michael Chugg, you're a very smart man to get the greatest rock voice in Australia to sing. Yeah.
Okay. I wasn't singing rock at the time. Hard to rock and roll the anthem.
I'm reading here on my notes that I'm trying to, that you're a collector of information curious, obscure and ridiculous. Could that be true?
All true.
Because over lunch on the table was Galileo's what? Pendulum?
Galileo's pendulum wave.
That's it?
A 450-year-old invention by Galileo Galilei, the mid-15th century genius, to demonstrate the reaction of differing pendular lengths. Fascinating piece of work, absolutely fascinating. Almost forgotten, but certainly not by the scientific community. But yeah, I don't know, if it interests me, I store it. This is why I play with my Facebook people, being the quizmaster.
You've got the two identities, haven't you?
The Joker and the quizmaster. And they're both very dangerous people to hang out with. Yeah. Okay. But yeah, that's it. It's just...
Newton's cradle?
Ah.
No,
yeah.
I'm acting like I'm really intelligent. I spoke with him on the phone and he told me what it was. Tell us about Newton's cradle.
Okay. Newton's cradle was designed by Isaac Newton, one of my relatives, actually, a dim relative, which I find curious because I believe in genetic streaming, so who knows. I'm not the genius Isaac was, but anyway.
It's not far from it, though.
Maybe some's rubbed off. But the amusing story about Newton's cradle was that Newton devised this cradle to exemplify either his second or his third law. I can't remember which one off the top of my head. We're winging it today, folks, otherwise I would have done... If I'd been made aware, I would have told you which law. But it was one of those. And the device is designed to show that for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. And so the device contains 4 balls hanging pendulum fashion. And if you take one ball from the end and drop it, and it strikes the 4 static balls, 1 ball moves at the other end. If you take 2, 2 move.
How old is this?
Well, Newton was, 19th century, darling?
That would be the gorgeous Marilyn.
18th century. Newton was an exceptional man because when he was receiving the praise that he was receiving for the work that he was doing, he stood up in public and said, "The only reason I have been able to achieve what I have achieved is because I've stood on the shoulders of giants." You've got to love that.
You were so interesting. We were talking about your beautiful partner, and you have written some amazing poetry. Is it a bit cheeky to ask you to recite something of yours?
Okay. I will have to take a deep breath, folks. I have to gird my loins, so to speak. This is for Marilyn. This was written for Marilyn, I think on the 27th of last month. She speaks to me of art. And as she talks, the colours sparkle in her voice. I have never met a woman before. I have only ever met children who find authority in age. She speaks to me of art. She speaks to me of love. And as she talks, the softness in her voice makes velvet seem coarse. I have loved before, but never has it been offered with such maturity. She talks to me of love. She talks to me of life. And as she speaks, her wisdom belies her years. I've lived a lot of life, but the promise of life with her means a greater fullness. She speaks to me of life.
I'm speechless myself as I've got tears in my eyes. It's such beauty in that. What a lucky, lucky woman, and you're a lucky, lucky man.
Wrokdown.
Welcome back to Wrokdown. My special guests on the couch this evening, Mr. Phil Manning. And Soozie, what a fantastic job you have done.
Pinder.
Yeah,
A beautiful interview. Beautiful interview. Just before we go to the last segment of Jeff's interview, a couple of funny things. He was talking about being relatively related way back to Sir Isaac Newton. And of course, Olivia Newton-John is related to Isaac Newton. And I thought, how funny that he took on the name Jeff St. John and Olivia Newton-John is actually a relative. Is that spooky?
Oh, spooky.
Spooky.
Anyway, that was just something that went through my mind, but lots of things go through my mind. Not always worth talking about. However, you, Phil, have some fabulous stories, and I know there's one particular story you would like
I'm
to
going to tell a really quick one.
tell us about.
A really quick one. When we were all, like all these bands, like Jeff St. John, Chain, a whole pile of people were living in the Cross back in the late 60s. And we were sitting around, we always got incredibly stoned and blah, 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 all that stone, tripping, whatever. And one day I remember Jeff saying, we've come up with a fabulous idea for an advertisement. And I said, oh, have you? He said, yes. He says, well, as you know, I'm a cripple in a wheelchair. I've got spina bifida. And he said, and our drummer has got a rather bad arm because he was, I think, a polio victim or something. And he said, we've come up with this idea for an advertisement. Sunset on the beach. Me rolling down the beach in my wheelchair. And then suddenly, boom! Vanished into a hole. And then Peter's the drummer, Peter's crippled arm comes out holding a packet of Camel. Says, smoke Camel, a man's cigarette. And this was Jeff St. John's and Peter the drummer.
All I can say is the dope must have been
their
really
idea of an advertisement. And I just always remember it's just gorgeous.
The
It's
dope was really
gorgeous.
good and you were obviously out of fags. It was like wishful thinking. Okay, Soozie, we're going to take it back for the last segment.
Jeff St. John had not been interviewed since the 80s, and it took a bit of going, but I want to thank Steve Giorgio over here because he's the man that actually sealed the deal for me to be able to go over, and Steve's in the audience. So
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you, Steve. Without you, this wouldn't have occurred. Yeah, but the poem, and he's such a highly intelligent man and a really, really good soul. And it'll be evident in the interview.
He's one of the
It's been
greatest
evident
souls.
from the minute he opened his mouth.
Yeah.
So let's have a look.
I want to talk about the book really because this book is something that's going to be absolutely celebrated. Something very different to anyone else's autobiography.
My publisher wants to establish a precedent for local music autobiographies. And so our presentation and our packaging will startle a lot of people. This is not just your Pete Townsend with the odd cluster of photographs that you've got to keep breaking your stream to cross-reference. That's not the idea at all. We'll be placing photographs in the relevant point in each chapter. And so consequently, you don't have to break your stream. You don't have to break your flow.
That's annoying, isn't it, when you have to do that?
Oh, it's terrible. It's really, and there's an amusing aspect of it because my I'm sorry, James. I love you, promise. I owe you more than money, James. But a little of my vocabulary has sort of bushwhacked my publisher. And we were discussing how this might be dealt with in the book. And he said, oh, well, you know, we'll just put a glossary in the back of the book. Because I quite comfortably use words like apotheosis and the like, whatever. And
I would like to know what that word means.
Well, so did Marilyn.
Marilyn did. What is apotheosis?
When I actually used it for the first time with Marilyn, she said you had the whole English department scurrying to their dictionaries. When you achieve your apotheosis, essentially you have achieved your Godhead. You have achieved the highest achievement in whatever it is that you're pursuing. That is to achieve your apotheosis. That's what it means.
I think I might be doing that right now.
Well, when my publisher and I discussed this, I said, look, this is how I speak. I will be condescending if I write in any other way. And he said, oh, yeah, no, I agree. We just can't have people confused. And I said, well, okay, well, then if they can't pick it up from context, then instead of having a glossary at the back, which would distract, because, again, it would break the theme, we'll use a textbook trick. And so we will put the glossary at the bottom of the page.
That is genius, brilliant.
And so there's no flow. There's no flow broken. And his job now, he's rereading the book. I've touched up a couple of bits, but essentially the text is finished, I hope. But he's now rereading it. We have a meeting coming next Wednesday.
Who is the publishing house?
Oh yes, I should give him a plug because wonderful, because he's picked me up. He's a new independent, and the publishing house is called Starman Books. But the lovely Mark Norman, one of your colleagues
from 88.3 Southern FM. Hello, Mark. We're here too.
He put James and I together. We're getting there. I don't know. I can't put a time frame on it. I would love it. I would absolutely love it to be about... I would love it to be my birthday present for next year.
What month is your birthday?
April 22.
Laryssa and I feel another trip back to the west. Well, before we go, and we're going to smoke a cigar together and have a glass of wine, bada bing. For anyone that's out there that is feeling challenged, because lots of people watch this show, and you've had challenges through your life that we don't need to go over, but what's one word of encouragement or advice you'd like to say for anyone that's thinking, shit, I can't do it?
You people do this to me all the time. One word.
One piece of advice you can have, okay. Because I wouldn't limit Jeffrey St. John to one word.
I mean, you cannot encapsulate my philosophy in one word.
No, I know that.
But you can, surprisingly, encapsulate it in 3. Just do it.
I am just honoured to have this time with you. Thank you, Jeffrey. And John, you are a gem of a human being.
Thank you, Soozie.
Absolutely
I
love you.
I don't mind the way I've turned out. It's okay.
You are outstanding. Thank you. This is Wrokdown over and out from Western Australia, and thank you, Jeffrey St. John, and thank you, Marilyn, for having us in your home.
Soozie, what an amazing interview. Thank you so much. It really wasn't it a fantastic interview? Jeff, from all of us here at Wrokdown, thank you for such a beautiful, intimate, honest interview. It was just wonderful sitting back here, listening to you and seeing you again. And my apotheosis
yes.
will actually be being able to use the word apotheosis. Any chance I get Would you also please thank our very special guest, Mr. Phil Manning? And thank you, Wrokdown. Good night.